The whole Liam Kumar Day effect, not really happened.
Nigel couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I've rang up Mendon all, he said he could make
Don't
it.
dig this hole. Phil, credit to the guy, he always manages to do well what he has, but he is a shocking person right now. You guys got a trophy? No.
It was pre-bit.
Nah, my life from Rashad Mendon.
Right, you guys cancel. I'm a tag, Jack! I'm a fucking tag!
Welcome back. We're here a bit later than usual. Apologies. Uni is taking over my role of commissioner, unfortunately, because we all know what the priority is here. Commissionering and Uni, bad for getting in the way. It's a bad Uni. Anyway, I'm joined by Coach Merritt, as usual, but we have a different guest this week, and that we have not had for a while. It is Coach Nathwani of the Dream Team. How's it going, coaches?
Very well.
Good.
I think it's time to come back. I've not shared my insight for a while. I've got a few shots I need to fire.
He comes back when he's top in the division, doesn't he? Brilliant.
yeah. You can't come back. You can't come when you're like 2 and 4, man.
That's why I haven't seen Chris.
Yeah. By the way, I've seen Nigel a bit more active on the feed. Gets to 7 and 1.
Yeah.
Coming out with a few comments.
Yeah, I know, right? Anyway, so lots of stuff to get to today. I don't think there's a player in the NFL who did not get injured last week. So we'll just get straight to the league news. So here it is, league news. Okay, so what we start with. So Deshaun Jackson, the Skins were obviously on their bye week. Reports are he should return this week. He has not suffered a setback yet, so that's reassuring. So he should suit up on Sunday. Vincent Jackson still dealing with some sort of knee injury. Has not practiced at all this week, so I don't think he'll be back this week. And finally, finally for Gridiron Gang, David Cobb, inching towards coming off the IR, so he could be back maybe this week, but probably more likely next week. Martavis Bryant, I believe he had a rest day earlier in the week with an illness, but he seems fine. He's full practicing now, so he's good to go. A big injury for Pakistan last week. Unfortunately, Keenan Allen suffered a lacerated spleen. Any of you guys ever had one of those?
Dude, it sounds awful.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good, doesn't it? A lacerated spleen.
How do you cut your spleen? This guy's out of control.
Yeah, so unfortunately his season is done. And
Yeah,
just as Pakistan started to look like they were getting something together, it's looking bleak now.
That's such a thing to happen to Pat's team as well.
Absolutely.
Classic Pat injury.
Yep. Stephon Diggs is also suffering a hamstring injury, so when it rains, it pours, so to speak. And Eric Decker not practicing as well. He's obviously had knee issues for quite some time now, but you know I think he's been playing every week, so I don't think his status is in any doubt. Chris Ivory is just a revolving injury, and he continues to deal with injuries, and he will do for the rest of his career, but he will play this weekend. Des Bryant obviously made his return last week, coming off that foot surgery. From what I've seen, no setbacks there, so he'll be good to go and maybe even see a bigger workload this week. Julius Thomas, coming off the bye week, he's got an abdominal injury, but he is probable he should be good to go. And Willie Snead was also a limited participant in practice this week due to a knee injury, but I expect he will play on Sunday as well. Moving on. So Anquan Bolden has yet to play after suffering that hamstring injury a few weeks ago. Is that right? He hasn't played yet. He's not. He hasn't practiced this week, so I don't think he's returned yet. Kyrie Robinson also suffered a leg injury, and he was placed on injured reserve, so he will miss the rest of the season. Antonio Gates made a return from his knee injury last week. It was reported it could be a multi-week injury, but he managed to return on Sunday, and I would imagine the same will be said for this Sunday. Julian Edelman has popped up on the injury report this week with a knee injury. He's been limited in practice, but the Patriots are notoriously funny about their injury list, so yeah, I expect he'll be fine. Jordan Cameron, he's got a hamstring injury, another player that's been dealing with injuries all season long, but he should be fine for Sunday as well. Big injury for Jeff Seals last week. Le'Veon Bell got his knee landed on, and I think he tore his MCL. He damaged his MCL. So he will miss the rest of the season. How big is that for Jeff Seals?
I think we can,
Massive. Charlie's going to be devastated. Oh, wait.
I think we can stick the fork in another team now.
Oh,
Ooh.
folks, the cutlery's coming up.
Yeah.
Moving on, Ben Estes, Dion Lewis continuing to struggle with that abdominal injury, but he played last week. I imagine he will this week. Manuel Sanders, full participant in practice. He's had a shoulder problem for a few weeks now, but he'll be good to go. Brandon Marshall had a variety of lower leg injuries last week. Toe and ankle is the order of the day. He was a limited participant, and he's a pretty tough guy. I anticipate he'll be playing. Andrew Luck, interestingly, I saw a report on last Sunday when I was at Wembley that Luck has been dealing with broken ribs, which is possibly explaining his poor play. No, that's not been confirmed, and I think it's even been refuted. But that with the shoulder, and now he's got an ankle injury. Injuries are piling up for this guy this year. But I've no doubt he'll play on Sunday. But I think it's fair to say he's at less than 100%. Carlos Williams is making a return after his concussion. He's missed quite a long time with that concussion, so he'll be back now, I think, this Sunday. Moving on, T.Y. Hilton suffered a foot sprain, I believe, in last Sunday's game. I don't think he's practiced at all. Highly questionable for this Sunday's game.
Game time.
Game time decision, indeed. Ronnie Hillman, a limited participant in practice. He's got some sort of thigh bruise, but I know John Fox came out on Wednesday and endorsed him as the starting running back with this in mind, so no doubt in my mind he'll be suiting up this Sunday. Alan Hearns continuing to struggle with an ankle thigh injury. He'll be good to go on Sunday. Nearly there. Matt Forte suffered a knee injury, a week for a lot of running back injuries last week. The Bears have, for some reason, been like communist Russia when it comes to their injuries. All we know, it's some sort of knee injury, and from what I've seen, it's most likely a week-to-week type of thing. A news update on Tony Romo. He has started throwing again, I believe, and he's been doing so for a couple of weeks. Reports are that he'll probably need the longest timetable of his injury to return, so week 11 is probably the date he'll come back. And Sammy Watkins, he's still dealing with that calf problem, and apparently now he's got an injured ankle as well, so another guy that's just getting injured constantly. He's questionable for Sunday, and from what we've seen, I'd put it on the lower side of questionable that he plays. Carlos Hyde continuing to deal with a foot injury. I've seen reports that it's actually a stress fracture, which he can either play through or get surgery. It doesn't sound good. Obviously didn't play last week, and every other running back in San Francisco got injured as a result for some reason. Or cut, yeah. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but I don't think he'll come back this week. Austin Seferian-Jenkins, after a good start of the season, suffered a shoulder injury, and he's been out for some time. He's questionable now, and he could return this Sunday. Ryan Matthews is also questionable with a groin injury. I think he'll probably play on Sunday, so he should be good to go. CJ Anderson is a full participant as well. He's kind of been banged up all year, ankle injury, but he should be good to go for Sunday. And that is it for the injuries, I think. We may come to more that I've forgotten about when we do the transactions. So, biggest injury for you last week in terms of...
Yeah, Le'Veon.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Closely followed by Keenan Allen.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for the Pakistan team. Yeah. So we'll get to the transactions now. There's a lot more. Obviously, we're doing it on Friday, so we'll get through it as quickly as we can and stop to talk about the interesting ones. So first off, Forge Flyers added D'Angelo Williams and dropped Alfred Blue. Can't fault him adding D'Angelo Williams, but would you have dropped Alfred Blue?
Well, this guy, Chris Leach, has an out-of-control running back depth, okay? You probably actually had to drop old Freddie Blue. But, I mean, this is it. He could have traded. It's the perfect time to get someone like Ben Roethlisberger, you know? Just laying pat. Could have shopped around a little bit more.
Shots fired.
I think he messed up a bit here because Freddie Blue. I mean, it's Christmas come early for Ben. Oh, he's the guy who ends up getting him, and Chris could have got some good value here. Nah.
Yeah. So our next move, Tom's Tyrants added Jeremy Langford and dropped Brian Hoyer. Obviously, Jeremy Langford will replace for Matt Forte for however long he's out. Pakistan added Malcolm Floyd and dropped Keenan Allen. Obviously, in response to Keenan Allen's injury, I'm not sure Malcolm Floyd is the answer there. Kind of different kind of players, but he needed a receiver. But then he's added Kamar Aiken and dropped Kendall Wright. Of course, we missed that injury. Apologies, Steve Smith. Unfortunately, out for the rest of the season with a torn Achilles tendon. I think every single fan of the NFL and fantasy loses when Smitty goes out for the rest of the season. But I guess if there's a silver lining, it might mean Smitty might play one more year. We'll have to see. The Tuckfards added Derek Carr and dropped Ryan Fitzpatrick. Viv, you want to talk about this one?
I mean, I do like Derek Carr, Phil. I don't blame you there. I wouldn't start him above Matt Ryan personally. But let Ryan go, okay? Ryan was TK at best. So I think you've done well to get old Derek Carr for a bit of depth.
Yeah, well, we need Derek Carr because we're approaching Matt Ryan's bye week.
Okay.
They've got, a sort of okayish matchup against Minnesota, and it's probably the best quarterback still on the waivers list. So, yeah, no-brainer sort of really. And if we take into account Matt Ryan's form over the past couple of weeks, which has not been, in terms of fantasy, very high, I think this is a good pickup.
The necessities added the New England Patriots defense and dropped the Philadelphia defense. The Dream Team added CJ Spiller and dropped Stephen Ridley. Gridiron Gang added Michael Floyd and dropped Ladarius Green. And on Red Zone added Nate Washington and dropped Victor Cruz. No idea why he was holding on to him for this long. Still hasn't played this season. Pakistan added the Cincinnati Bengals defense and dropped Green Bay Packers D. The Detonators added Shane Vereen and dropped Marvin Jones. The Tuckfards added Blair Walsh and dropped Mike Nugent. The Necessities added Josh Lambo and dropped Justin Tucker. And on Red Zone added the New York Giants defense and dropped Tennessee's defense. They also added Trey Mason and dropped Steve Smith. Tuckfards added Marcus Colston and dropped Joseph Randall. I guess another bit of news, Randall got cut by the Cowboys last week, so yeah, he's in a bad place at the moment. The Tuckfards added the Miami Dolphins defense and dropped Marcus Colston. What the hell are you doing, Phil? Gridiron Gang added Sebastian Janikowski and dropped Ahmad Bradshaw. And finally, Iknan added Chris Gibbons. Oh wait, no, not finally, sorry.
Yeah,
oh my god, there's another page. Iknan added Chris Gibbons. Ford Flyers added Darrell Green Beckham and dropped Charles Sims. Benetnes added Chris Boswell and dropped Kairos Santos. The NSSTs added Jay Cutler and dropped Riley Cooper. Jeff Seals added Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Thomas Terrence added Graham Gano and dropped Chandler Catanzaro. Iknan added Alfred Blue and dropped Chris Polk. This is a good move, agreed?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Yeah, and the Tuckfards added Philadelphia Eagles and dropped Miami Dolphins D.
A whole struggle.
That was a struggle. So, favorite waiver move? Got a favorite?
I actually liked your Michael Floyd pickup. The cheeky bye week pickup. Went a bit under the radar. I missed him. So yeah, that was pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
I think probably Iknan picking up Alfred Blue, probably a week late, but getting there finally.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just get to some team general news here. So what happened with regards to last week? So Ford Flyers recorded their 50th regular season loss of all time. Sorry, of the regular season. They're now at 42-51 all time. What else happened here? ADLZ coach Nigel Wells inches close to 500. They're at 31-34 right now. And there's nothing else really that interesting. So we'll just get straight to the weekly recaps, if it's okay with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so the marquee matchup last week. Why am I looking at this? Was.
Have you changed your mind? Have you changed your mind on this? Please tell me you changed your mind.
So what did I said bare necessities, but detonators, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I changed my mind. I think it was probably the Iknan Gridiron Gang matchup. Agreed? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, this was a close one, obviously, going in. Gridiron Gang leading the division. A win by Eknan would put them at the top of the division. A win by Gridiron Gang would obviously extend their lead even further. Gridiron Gang were going in with a 1-game loss, while Eknan were going in with a 2-game win streak. The history of this matchup is very, very one-sided. Before this game, Eknan were 8-3 all time against Gridiron Gang, and they've now made that 9-3 with a close 96-90 victory. Thoughts on this game? Anyway,
Well, this is the week where Gridiron Gang came crashing back to earth, as did for a lot of people. Yeah, interesting week. It wasn't a high scoring game, not as high as we thought it would be. Denarius Thomas was a big plus for Iknan. Philip Rivers. Bearing in mind, Andre Ellington didn't score any points. Both running backs scored a total of 3.5 points. I mean, how Iknan got the win here is unbelievable, but especially with Brady getting 38 as well. But there we go. But then again, you look back down at the D, and Jets scored a big fat 0. So,
I mean, I don't think you can blame it all on the Jets here. The big three of Gridiron Gang, the Brady, the Lacey, and the Hopkins, put in a good shift. But really, there was really nothing else there. Lamar Miller, yeah. Apart from that, slim pickings.
Viv,
Yeah.
Viv, I said last week that this is the most Tuckfard-like Gridiron Gang ever seen.
It's true.
It's absolutely true.
Yeah.
I resent that
At
comment.
5-2 or 5-3, the Tuckfard strategy is working.
Face.
I'm just going to move on swiftly. So our next game here is the Dream Team against Tom's Tyrants. And this was actually a pretty interesting divisional matchup too. Entering this game, Dream Team at 4-3, Tom's Tyrants at 2-5, had a chance to narrow up this division as well. So this is another historically just completely one-sided matchup with Tom's Tyrants before this game having a 7-1 record against the Dream Team. So very, very one-sided. Coming in, Tom's Tyrants had 3 games losing on the trot, while the Dream Team had 2 games winning in a bit of a hot streak. And they would extend that to 3 and drop Tom's Tyrants for their 4th straight loss, 121-73. Thoughts, Viv?
I mean, I was not expecting to win. I'm not gonna lie. My matches weren't great. Well, I was playing the Jets. I started 2 Raiders. You know, I would have started. I was about to start Seabass as well. That's why I dropped it for Robbie Gore. I thought 3, that's too many. You know, and I thought Jets are gonna kill me. But it turns out, apparently Oakland have a really good offense now.
Who knew?
Yeah, it worked out pretty well.
Or the Jets are just monumentally shit. Either argument is good.
Can we stick a fork in Tom's Tyrants yet?
No, not quite. You know what happened last year. I'm not ready.
Well, now they have Ben Roethlisberger. That team is actually straight fire, though. They have 3 wide receiver ones, and now they have a top 4 quarterback, which I believe in Ben Roethlisberger. Chris Ivory is solid. I guess running back 2 is their only sketchy position, which is not even that sketchy.
Martin's been pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just trying to do what they did last year, but even more so. Because they were 2-5 last year. Now they're 2-6. Tom's just messing with us.
Yeah. I mean, maybe 8-6 might not even make playoffs this year. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. So our next game here, Bare Necessities took on Detonators, one of the storied matchups of the LOC. Entering this one, though, Bare Necessities were on a 3-game win streak, while the Detonators were on the opposite 3-game losing streak. Bare Necessities obviously jostling to try and get to the top of the division, while the Detonators are just trying to recover from freefall, it seems. Entering this, the Detonators actually had the edge. They're 6-3 all time, but they're now 6-4, and they lost their 4th straight game, while Bare Necessities won their 4th straight to the tune of 112-88. Thoughts?
Well, Ollie was on 3-1 and now is on 3-5. This sort of sums it up. He's scored probably about he hasn't scored that much. I don't think he's had
Is he the lowest scoring team?
It's the lowest scoring team. I don't think he's had. I think it's been a while.
No,
since
he's not. Apologies, that's Pakistan.
Oh yeah, sorry, that figures.
Oh,
sorry, Pat.
shots fired.
But it's been a while since he scored over 100. But this was a tough matchup for Bare Destinations anyway, because they're playing probably the hottest team in the whole league at this point in Bare Necessities, and they're putting Viv under a bit of pressure here at the top of the league. Seeing that 4-win streak now, they never deserve to be. They never deserve to lose the first 4 games anyway. But just straight up fire from all of Bare Necessities there, apart from maybe Emmanuel Sanders.
Well put. So that's a nice turn of phrase.
I think you have, but just consistency there, and another big week, and they've definitely turned their season around and in contention.
Yeah, absolutely. So our next game here, Andy Up Red Zone versus Fudge Flyers, a battle of the Portsmouth division. So obviously Fudge Flyers entering the game at 2-5. They really needed to get this win to give themselves a chance, considering ADRZ were 6-1. They're just having a great season right now. They were on a 3-game win streak entering this one. The all-time matchups in this one, ADRZ were 2-4 against Fudge Flyers entering this one, but they got the win. They're now 3-4, and it was a pretty impressive one at that, 144-66. They're now 7-1. Are ADRZ going to the playoffs?
Yep.
Definitely.
For sure. I think 2 more wins, I think, with the amount of points they've scored. Well, probably not, but they're definitely getting.
Oh, Fudge Flyers done.
Definitely, yeah, I think so. I mean, they're slightly unlucky, aren't they? I mean, they're stacked at running back. I mean, they've got so much depth now, but it just doesn't really seem to be, coming together in the other positions. I mean, Bruce Arians is not a fan with fantasy players at the moment with the way that John Brown's being treated, but he posted another really poor scoreline.
He didn't play.
He didn't play. I didn't think he got any
was
targets.
active but didn't play a snap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they're a couple trades away of having a really solid team. They can still make it back to 500, I think, if they just do some trades. Nah, maybe not 500, but they can avoid the last place bowl, whatever we're calling it now.
Yeah.
They've been helped out by the reemergence of CG Anderson.
Yeah.
Season high.
Who was on his bench.
Take off.
Anyway, yeah. So our next game here, this was an interesting game because it was pitted one coach against his former team. Pakistan went up against Jeff's Seals. Both these teams, I guess, having okay seasons. Coming in, though, I mean, one team's on autopilot, the other's on a bit shaky ground. It did not make for a great game, and Pakistan fell to their former team, 95-59. What do you make of this?
Some geezer called Stefan Diggs leads your team to scoring. You're not in great shape here. Yeah.
A quarter of his points, no less.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think we can stick a fork in Pakistan now. I think that's it. I think with the injury to Keenan Allen, that is the first fork.
And I'll have to say the second fork. I mean, Pat, your inexperience showed in that Ben Roethlisberger trade. I know some people are a fan of it, but I think if you shopped around a little bit more, perhaps to a certain Forge Flyers, you could have got a bit more on the table than a Danny Woodhead. He might end up being okay now that Keenan Allen's out, but at this time, Keenan Allen's still in. You've got 2 charges on your team, and you become too reliant. I think you might mess that one up a bit. And Tom's on the blind.
I agree. I think he's made just a couple of sloppy decisions from the draft into his first solo season, and they've really cost him. But he has been also very unlucky with injuries and with players not performing as they should. In terms of Jeff Seals, I mean, that's a bad injury that they got with Le'Veon. It was the first pick in the draft, and there's not really anyone there that can sort of replace him. And I think things are looking bleak for all those teams in, was it the Southampton League that aren't, Portsmouth League that aren't called ADRZ.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, this is turning into a bit of a dead rubber division.
Yep, you're not wrong there. So our final game here, the Tuckfards took on the Homosexuals, another Winchester division bout. No, you may not. Homosexuals at the bottom of the division, they needed to get a win just to keep up with the rest of them, while the Tuckfards, with a win, could have potentially been leading the division come the end of the day. The history of this matchup, I think the Homosexuals were 1-0 against the Tuckfards, the only other game obviously happening in 2010. Well, they remain undefeated against the Tuckfards. They're 2-0. 130 to 88. Now they're both on 4-4. What do you make of this game, Viv?
I mean, I like what I've seen from the Homosexuals there. Mainly from the receiving core. The Cookie Monster looks like he's coming out to play a bit. I guess when your quarterback has 7 touchdowns, you got to hope a couple of them goes to your wide receiver 1. But I mean, they should be. I think they'll get to about 500 end of season, and I think they'll take that for the first season back.
Yeah, I'd agree. So that wraps up last week's matchup. So we'll take a quick look at the standings right now. So in the Southampton division, the Dream Team leading that right now, 5-3, with Ben Necessity's hot on their backs at 4-4. Both of those combined for a 7-game win streak right now. Just a completely opposite story, the other two teams. Benete's at 3-5 and Tom Sarrent's 2-6. They've collectively lost 8 games on a row now. 8. The Portsmouth division, Andy Dalton Red Zone are just running away with it. It seems 7-1. The next closest is obviously uncontrolled projected controlled Jeff Seals, who are 4-4. Patterson at 3-5, and Fudge Flies at 2-6. Finally, we've got the Winchester division, who has a new leader now. Iknan, with the win over Gridiron Gang, now leading that. Both are at 5-3, however, with the Tuckfards and Homosexuals right behind them at 4-4. So really, really close division, that one. The only close division, really, I guess. So we'll take a look at it. So if you check out the league poll, you've probably already seen it. It's been up for a while. Will ADLZ finish the regular season in first place? Will they do it? Right now, it's 60-40 to no, they won't. But, they're 2 games ahead of the next closest. And as you say, Viv, they're looking fire right now. So you can go vote on that. But with the power rankings, we'll get to that right now. I'll just read out the order and you can go at it. So here we go. Ben Necessity still at the number 1 spot. With the new entrant at number 2, the Dream Team bump up from spot number 5. ADLZ also move up 4 spots from 7 to 3. Gridiron Gang with the loss dropping down 2 spots from number 2 to 4. Tuckfards also dropping 2 spots to 5. Iknan as well, they're down to 6. Fudge Flyers dropping down just 1 to 7. Homosexuals move up from 1 from 9 to 8. While Tom's Tyrants flip with them, they go down from 8 to 9. Detonators get off the cellar for the first time in weeks, it seems. They're at 10 now, up 2. Jeff Seals dropped 1 to 11, and Patterson dropped to the floor. They're down 1 at 12. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I guess I wouldn't mind ADRZ being a little higher and Chris being Forge Flyers being a little lower. But I think you got the kind of top and bottom right.
Yeah, I'd probably agree. I think the top 3 are, they're fairly accurate actually. Maybe Forge Flyers is a bit low. Sorry, a bit too high. But yeah, it's fairly accurate.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So we'll get straight into the week previews now. I think this is probably the marquee matchup. Tuckfards against Andy Dalton Red Zone. Would you agree? The matchups aren't pretty this week, to be honest. It's either this or Gridiron Gang Dream Team.
Yeah, I'd probably agree. I'd probably say Gridiron Gang is a bit more up there with the Gridiron Gang Dream Team.
Okay, we'll go that one then. So, Gridiron Gang against the Dream Team. Two of these teams entering the game really kind of opposite ways. They're both 5-3. The Gridiron Gang is a 2-game losing streak, while the Dream Team is a 3-game win streak. Dream Team obviously leading the division now, while Gridiron Gang lost their division lead. The history of this matchup: the Dream Team are 3-2 all time against Gridiron Gang. Projections currently have this one going 121 to 111. Lineup changes. Deshaun Jackson going into the lineup for the first time since week 1, assuming he plays on the weekend. Brandon LaFell also making his first start. And Jordan Reed coming back into the lineup, as well as Sebastian Janikowski making an appearance. Going to the bench are Golden Tate, DeAndre Hopkins, Stephen Hauschka, who are all on a bye. On the Dream Team side of the ball, Drew Brees comes into the starting lineup for Carson Palmer, who's on a bye. LaShawn McCoy comes into the lineup. He's coming off of a bye. Devontae Adams, he was in your lineup last week, wasn't he? Yeah. Michael Crabtree coming into the flex, though. Forsett going to the bench. And Pierre Garçon, was he playing last week?
Oh no, Crabtree was in.
Sorry, apologies. So your thoughts on this game, Phil?
Yeah, this is a very important game for both teams. Both teams are under very high pressure at this point. The Dream Team have a very, very hot team coming from below in terms of bare necessities, who are challenging for the Southampton division. For the Gridiron Gang, they have everyone in the mix in the Winchester division, and they have just lost. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've just lost the lead in their division. So this may be a crucial matchup for both teams, not least because this is a bye week, and there is a hell of a lot of players that both teams are losing. I think it's 4 on the Gridiron Gang and 3 on Dream Team. Mm-hmm. So. And especially for Gridiron Gang, they've lost Hopkins the week, and he's been the standout player. So I think this is going to be a very close game. The form book says that the Dream Team will take this, and indeed the projections do as well. I think it's going to be a very close game. What I don't like for the Dream Team is that they're still intent seemingly on playing Devontae Adams when they've got a certain Pierre Garçon on there.
I still believe.
You still believe? I don't. I'm afraid. I think Dream Team will nick this, but I think it's going to be very close.
There may or may not be some bias with James Jones right here, just to clarify.
James Jones is done for the season. He is done. But we'll get to that.
You know what I find interesting about this game? Every single player on each team plays at 6, apart from one on each team. It's ridiculous.
It's gonna be fun to watch, right?
Look at the projections; they're basically the same goddamn line.
Yeah. Except for mine's a little higher though.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see how that looks on Sunday, shall we? And
it's all 6 p.m.s, and then the 2 players playing on the Monday night game.
Yep, pretty much.
It's going to be a long wait.
Oh my god! At least we can enjoy the 9 p.m. games, I guess.
Yeah.
And the late game,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with my team. Phil, you didn't pick a team. I'm gonna go with my team. I don't know. I've got Tom Brady. That's all you need. That's my argument. Okay, Phil.
Okay, whatever you say, mate. I mean,
who are you going with? Who are you going with? Was my question. Not.
Oh right, who am I going with?
Yeah.
I did say go for the Dream Team, and
okay,
I think,
apologies, I missed that.
Yeah, I think they'll win it, but it'll be very close.
Okay. Viv, I guess I'm going.
Not even close. Breeze puts up 7 TDs. Devontae puts up 3. Nah. But no, it'll be good there. I think I'll win because your running backs don't have great matchups.
Sure. So our next game here is Pakistan against Tom Tyrants, and this one's already kicked off, so excuse us for including that. So entering this game, obviously Pakistan coming off a tough loss in more ways than one, while Tom's Tyrants coming off a string of tough losses, I think it's fair to say. So Thomas Torrance on a 4-game losing streak. Both of these teams really need a win to keep up in their division. The projections and the current scores on the doors. The current score is 43-23 in favor of Pakistan. The projections still have Tom Torrance winning this one, 135-98. Lineup changes in this one. Rashad Jennings comes into the starting lineup. I don't think he was in there last week. Malcolm Floyd straight off the waiver to the wide receiver 2. Eric Ebron is still in on a bye. And Croc again was on a bye as well, so a waiver tight end will probably come in there. And on the other side of the ball, obviously Ben Roethlisberger making the start again. Des Bryant is in the flex as well. He returned last week. So, your thoughts on this game?
Well, we already have the benefit of knowing kind of what happened on the Thursday night game.
Yeah.
And Pat must have been pretty pleased when he saw Andy Dalton throwing 3 TDs.
Mm-hmm.
But then a bit less pleased when it all went to Tom's Tyler Eifert. So just because of that, he's ruined himself. There's no way he can win now. He was too kind of reliant on Dalton doing well. And now that the big man, Ben Roethlisberger, is there. Another thing I didn't like about this trade, he plays the guy who just traded with the next week. So Ben Roethlisberger is going to come back and ruin him.
Sort of just sums up that Pat's season really. Just like a couple of just certain moves. I don't think he necessarily doesn't have a chance here. I mean, the projections have been based upon Tyler Eifert getting 23, and we all know, none of his other players have played yet. So I think that's slightly excessive for Tom's Torrance to suddenly start like scoring mega points. So Pakistan has a chance. Let's not rule that out. I think we've been quite negative. I think his season's over, but if we
they're dead. I reckon Tom Torrance receiver is going to outscore.
That was nice what you did there, Phil. It was like, I still think he's got a chance, but his season's over.
I mean, his season's over, but it's not to say he's got a bad team. Do you get what I mean? Like he's had a mixture of, like I said, he's had a mixture of like bad decisions and a bit of hard luck. But it could be close. I think Tom Torrance are going to win just, but I feel Pakistan has a chance in this game. It's just going to be down to all their running backs perform, and can they replace Keenan Allen?
I'm thinking Tom Torrance too. I assume you are, Viv. Yeah. Okay. So I'll move on to the next one here. Ignan against Detonators entering this game. Again, two teams really, really going in opposite directions. Ignan on a 3-game win streak and just took control of the Winchester division, while the Detonators on a 4-game losing streak. And over that period, they obviously lost control of the Southampton division. All time, Ignan are 4-2 against the Detonators. And this game is another one that also kicked off this week. It's currently 9-5. To Ignan, so nothing special. Projections have this one going to them though, 119 to a measly 73. Lineup changes in this one. Darren Sproles is in the starting lineup for Ignan. I think that's their only change. On Badena's side of the ball, Terrence Williams is coming to the starting lineup, as has Ben Watson. I think he was in there last week actually, and DeMarco Murray is in the flex. So, your thoughts on this game?
I think it's going to be a very simple victory for Ignan. I think their Detonators, they're on the brink. Their draft has cost them. I think we said last week. I think their draft, some of their picks in the draft were a little bit ambitious. Certain players not performing to the level that they have done in the previous seasons. Quarterbacks and running backs mostly to blame. They've had a bit of hard luck with Terrence Williams and Roma going down, but Ignan, they're such a good team. Despite their trouble at running backs, I mean, they've got Brown, Evans, and Denarius Thomas, and then Martellus Bennett at tight end.
Demarius.
Sorry, who did I say?
Denarius. It's Demarius.
Denarius, sorry.
Like Antonio Green or whatever the hell you said it was.
Yeah, sorry. And then they got Koskowski and the Broncos D. So I think this will be a fairly simple victory for Ignan. which is worrying for the other people in the division. Bearing in mind, Ignan really look like they're sort of beginning to sort of take off as the draft calculator said they would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to take Ignan in this game too. I don't think they're quite as good, as we thought they'd be. Obviously, that running back issue is just an absolute horror show. And I don't think the team has shown it can consistently mask it enough to, constantly get into the hundreds. But yeah, as you say, they're a very consistent and good team despite that. So they'll definitely get their wins, and I think that'll be enough to win this one. You taking it, Viv?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we'll move on to the next one. Jeff Seals against Bare Necessities. So both these teams coming off a win, but Bare Necessities has 4 on the trot now. They're still pursuing the division, while Jeff Seals, just kind of ambling about, doing whatever the hell they want, really. So history of this matchup. Bare Necessities are 2-0 against Jeff Seals. No surprises there after they went 2-12 last season. So projections in this one actually fairly close. Currently have Bare Necessities winning 114-106. No players on the Thursday night game. Lineup changes in this one. Bishop Sankey is in the starting lineup for Jeff Seals, based on projections, I might add. And Zach Ertz will go in. I think he's high projected as well. Other than that, I don't think there's been a change. On Bare Necessities' side of the ball, Jay Cutler is making the start over Andrew Luck. Jonathan Stewart, Dion Lewis are starting running back, and TJ Yeldon in the flex. Thoughts on this game, Viv?
I mean, yeah, this could actually be a bit closer, despite Bishop Sankey starting.
Oh, Bishy.
Bish. I don't think Bish is even going to get a touch this whole game.
Probably not.
He's going to have 0, which will be better than last week where he got -2. So, but I mean, Buccaneers' defense. I mean, this is what happens when you don't have a manned fantasy team, and for that reason, Bare Necessities, surely.
You'd like to hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Bare Necessities. Are you gonna go Bare Necessities, Phil?
Yeah, I think Bare Necessities, after like quite a few weeks of bad luck, have got a bit of fortune here because they have a few injury problems, and sort of this could have been like quite a trip up week had it not been for their opponents. So I'm going to take Bare Necessities, but by a little bit closer than what we would have thought.
Sure. So our next game here, the Tuckfards against Anidol in Red Zone. So entering this game, Tuckfards obviously coming off a loss, trying to take the lead in their division. They are going to have another shot at it this week, though. They are going up one of the best so far this season, the 7-1 Andy Dalton Red Zone, who are currently on a 4-game winning streak. The history of this matchup, Andy Dalton Red Zone are actually 3-2 against the Tuckfards. I think one of the few teams to boast a winning record over the Tuckfards. And projections have this one mightily close. It's currently 5-3 as it stands, which sounds more like a high-scoring soccer game. But the projections have it going 107 to 105.5. Real close here. I have changes in this one. Derek Carr making the start for Matt Ryan. You started Antonio Andrews last week, didn't you? Amazingly.
I believe I did, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. And James Jones? No, Alan Robinson coming in for T.Y. Hilton. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. On Andy Dalton Red Zone side of the ball, Eli Manning is making... No, he played last week as well, didn't he? My mistake. Who came in? I think Alan Hearns. Yep, he came in for Steve Smith, obviously with the injury, and Frank Gore is in the flex as well. Your thoughts on this game, Phil?
Well, this season is not been a good season for the Tuckfards. They've had silly losses, but they've also had what seems like endless bad luck. And I mean, the points against is just a joke. 880 points. I mean, that's over what we were in week 8 now. Yeah, we're almost in week 9. So the teams on average have scored over 100 points against the Tuckfards all year. They're not getting their way, and I said last week that I was I was concerned about the matchups I faced, and in the end, I was proved right. But I was definitely proved that I should have been concerned because we had such a shocking week. Unfortunately, now we look at week 9, and the matchups are probably the worst ever. I mean, this has to be in the pantheon of poor matchups. It's so bad. It's unbelievable. I'm going to give you a list of how bad the Tuckfards matchups are this week. Right.
Feel free to mute your speakers, listeners. I would not blame you.
Ingram is playing Tennessee. James Jones is playing Carolina. Allen Robinson is on Revis Island. I mean, and we look at the bench. Benjamin played Cincinnati. Hilton's playing a horrendous matchup against Denver. It's just never ending. And I mean, I think ADRZ are already 8-1 this week. They've just got. It seems to all be going for them this season. They've got a very, very easy division. They've got some of the best players in the league, and they had a tremendous week last week. And I don't see them not scoring below 100. And I think the Tuckfards have a very, very big task on their hands to even put up 90 points. Bearing in mind their go-to player Barnage has only scored 3.5. It's going to Big Gaz let me down for the first time.
I think Phil, you've hyped up a bit. You've been a bit melodramatic here. I still believe in you.
You still believe. Right? That makes one of us.
Oakland Raiders put some points on the Jets. All right. AP still. James Jones will probably get some crappy coverage and score like 3 touchdowns. You're still okay. Don't worry. But you're going to lose. You get like 90 points and lose.
I mean, that's probably what's going to happen. I just don't see the Tuckfards winning from this position. So I'm going to go. I'm going to give it like a pat-like move, and I'm going to go with my opposition.
You can never ever compare yourself to Bill Belichick again.
What do you mean?
Because like you just said, I've had the bad luck this season. That's all that's fault for my losses. You're like so quick to take every single bit of credit for every win, and then if you lose, you're so quick to blame it on anything else.
Are you trying to tell me I'm like Jose Mourinho?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
I'm not like that, but you have to admit that
the similarities are there. Well, except he's won titles.
Oh, ouch! Well, he is the best manager in the league, like I. So,
and he might get fired. So that says it already, doesn't it? And I'm going with Andy Dalton red zone on the back of that. So there we go. Our next game here, and our last game, the Homosexuals take on Ford Flyers, and this is going to be make for poor reading, and as we'll see in a second. So the history of this matchup is Ford Flyers are 1-0 against Homosexuals all the time. So obviously only one game in 2010. Coming into this game, Ford Flyers having a bit of a mixed bag of a season, but they're coming off a win. They're 4-4. While Ford Flyers, after another loss, they're now at 2-6, and they've royally been they've whacked out the Cutlery and just jabbed themselves with it basically. So the projections in this one, we've already got 10 points from the Homosexuals, currently 95-60, but that is with a huge caveat that the Homosexuals currently have, count them, 3 players with the bye in their lineup, and Matt Forte, who will not play. So
come on, Ross. Ross, you could have got Alfred Blue. I'm pretty certain you could have got Alfred Blue.
I'm not even sure he has enough bench players to replace the players. No, he doesn't. He doesn't have a backup tight end.
Yeah. Just let a kicker go, mate. Just let a kicker go.
Sammy Watkins might not play, so he might not be able to play another receiver. Jared McKinnon will make the star running back as things stand. So, there it is. On Force Flyers side of the ball, Tyrod Taylor starting over Ryan Tannehill, DeAngelo Williams straight from the heaping pile of garbage that is the waiver wire into the starting lineup. Rashad Matthews making the start at wide receiver, as is Daryl Green Beckham of all people. Austin Seferian-Jenkins also making the start at tight end. Going to the bench are Jimmy Graham, Calvin Johnson, Ryan Tannehill, and John Brown. Your thoughts on this one? Anyone?
Go on, Viv.
All right. Well, look, I hate to say it, Ross, but you got to be active on the waiver hype, or you're just gonna get left behind. And I mean, I don't know. I've just got a weird feeling that Chris's Doria Green Beckham experiment might just come very fruitful. You know, like ASJ, that's the best tight end you can get, Chris. Come on, man. He's injured.
Heath Miller's on the waiver wire as well. With a healthy Ben Roethlisberger.
Surely Chris has to win.
This is like England versus Trinidad Tobago, like 2006 World Cup. This is like they have to win. Surely they have to win. I mean, it's just ridiculous as well because the Romosexuals, the one week they faced the Tuckfards, they get 130 points. The next
See,
week,
here he goes again, quick to blame.
but I mean, come on, they're going to get 60 points. They're projected 60 points this week, and we all know that the projections are always higher than they should be. It's just
That's
a joke.
not true.
Oh, mate. Anyway, so the Forge Flyers should win. This is a freebie. It's a freebie for them.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, right? Even if Romosexuals does put out a starting lineup, what's it going to be? It's going to be whatever garbage QB is left on the waiver. They're starting freaking Jerick McKinnon unless Carlos Hyde comes back. They're starting Sammy Watkins, who might not even play. And they don't even have a tight end on the roster currently. So, you know, it's not looking pretty. I mean, Forge Flyers would be an achievement if they lost this game, quite frankly. So, yeah, I'm going with Forge Flyers too.
He hasn't even put Tony Romo on reserve. He's on IR. It's that dire.
Yeah, it's pretty dire. Oh, I didn't see he can drop a defense as well, actually. So, I guess. And a kicker. So he can field a starting lineup, but it won't be pretty. So that brings us to the end of another podcast. A little shorter today. I was hoping it would be a little shorter, as I know some people have been skipping through the podcast, all the hard work we put in, only to listen to their own parts. So not naming names here.
1 hour 20 minutes, you're killing me here.
Yeah, I know. And the person that you have to blame is the other participant in the podcast right now. Tends to go on a little bit every now and then.
Yeah, man, Pat is just like it goes on for about 10 minutes.
Right, I'm ending this train wreck. Thanks for listening. We'll see you hopefully next Wednesday. Goodbye.
All right, see you later.